afternoon, everybody. First of all, thanks for CIC for inviting me to be here. It's a great pleasure. I'm born here, but I just came back to Hong Kong since November. Beforehand, I spent 6 years in China doing some quite interesting project on BIM and blockchain, which I'm going to share with you, everybody here. And some of the funding also gave it in a recent TechX talk in China and Smart Expo. And beforehand, I also spent a majority of the time in the UK and heavily involved in the BIM standard development for PAS 1192, which is going to become ISO this year as well. So 20 minutes, okay, to explain BIM is already feel like rocket science, yeah. With blockchain, okay, I will try my best, yeah. If you're still unsure about what I'm talking about, I have to tell you that's normal, okay, in 20 minutes, yeah, very difficult. Anyway, I try to be more interactive. I just asked 2 quick questions. Is everybody from Hong Kong here? Born here, live here? Yeah, I assume 90%, right? Okay. One quick question. Do you think Hong Kong is a smart city in your view? Can you hands up? Not sleeping, right? I guess you guys, yeah. Okay, no one. Are you happy currently living in Hong Kong in general? Happy in general? Okay, quite a few, yeah. So, is it really we are in need for smart, okay? Is it something that you actually don't need it? Okay, being happy, I think, is more important rather than living in a smart city. But I'll ask you the final question at the end of the presentation. You may have a second thought. But by the way, I'm currently working in Hong Kong U, okay? As an associate professor in BIM. So, at the end of the talk, I try to link to what our topic, the theme is today, is about digital transformation in construction. And I think the main theme is BIM, and then digital city, and why there's a link with blockchain, and ultimately, we want to achieve a new smart city, a truly smart city that makes our life happy. Surprisingly, I want to show you this graph. I don't want to show this all the time, but that's statistic from McKinsey. The recent report in 2007 about digital China. I refer to what Ada just showed about innovation in many different countries. Quite interestingly, there's still quite a lot of innovation. At the end of the bar, if you remember, I think it's around 15–70% about how innovative if you talk about China in terms of application of BIM. But these reports show construction is, in terms of digitalization, is the lowest, okay? I repeat, it's the lowest, okay? We are even behind agriculture. Well, the best is ICT, no wonder, no surprise. The report before construction is actually second lowest, yeah? So we are now reached the bottom, yeah? Bottom first, yeah? We can't be worse, okay? So what I see here, I think is really the opportunity and a great time to change for us. We really need to enter into a digital world, and I think with a forum like this, having research crossover, and all the stakeholders engage with the government support, I think we will have a better ranking in the next report. Talking about China, because I mean most of the recent project is actually related to China. That report say the level is the lowest, but indeed China get lots of policy, just like Hong Kong, pushing really hard to push the industry to adopt BIM, to really see the value of using BIM in construction and also at the smart city level. So this is one, I pick it up. I mean, there's just dozens, so many policy anyway. It clearly said that the 135135 plan, in Chinese they call it 1355规划, okay? It mentioned clearly BIM as kind of the disrupting technology for the sector that needs to be implemented in the future in the next 4 years. That's the key, yeah. So if you look at the keywords, yeah, all sorts of things that, I mean, the first speaker from the government also mentioned all the tools related to big data, AR, VR, sensors, they're all related, okay? So BIM is just the first, it's just one of the many, many tools if we talk about digital transformation in construction. So take one step backward, think again. always try to compare with manufacturing, car industry. My first job is actually working in Airbus in the UK. It's 14 years ago. I was in the UK. At the time, Airbus is start to entering into the digital world. They were under digital transformation. I remember my first project is A380, the one that stopped production anymore, unfortunately, yeah. I think I did the wrong job 14 years, yeah. But this is my first job to digitalize A380. It's a big task. We are talking about 1 million documents, both hard copy and soft copies. But if you see, we always try to compare with car industry. If you think about car, we do have the disruptive technology, which is what? Engine, okay? And the second thing, what car industry had done is about the lean process. It really makes the production line streamlined, no waste at all. So think about it again. We talk about BIM many years, many times. Think about it. Is BIM really the disruptive technology or the only one? Because we are talking about the only one. To equivalent, like car is engine. Is BIM is our engine. Think about it. Again, looking at the data about the UK, why we play such a great role in smart city or like economy production. If you look at this graph, talk about the UK situation since the BIM mandate in 2016, April 4. It shows, these cities are 4 bubbles. While I work in the government, chaired by Mark Bill, the Digital Bill Britain. So the first part is about CapEx, and then OpEx and service provision. So the expenditure from the UK government in CapEx is about 69 billions. And then if you go on, if you build a poor quality buildings, product infrastructure, the operation cost will be around 120 billion. And if you build a poor hospital, poor school, people when they are sick, they go to see the hospital, they get even more sick, okay? The service provision will cost you around almost 600 billion pounds. So in total, it's around 808 billion pounds. That makes up 43% of the whole UK GDP, which is around 1,800 billion pounds. So think about it, BIM is the first step, and we actually play a really key, crucial role to drive the economy in the future, okay? And again, talking about our process, BIM actually changed our process and also the process management. So the gray side is the RIBA, traditional architectural design process, design, construction, operation, and maintenance. So, and if you compare system engineering, okay, that's actually if we want to deliver a comparable sector with aerospace and car, it actually is a V shape if we do system engineering. So the purple part is actually, I think you heard about digital twin, okay? It's the same, just like if we make a car, BMW, whatever. So the digital model is actually as equivalent, like the physical product, when it goes through production. So think about it, have we ever treated building as a product? We talk about it as an asset, okay? Building is an asset. But when we do design, production, have we ever treated it as a product? Okay, if we want to move it forward to digitalize, I think we need to do this V-shaped arrangement. So what is the gray area that we think that's the test design? So lots of innovation will go in. That's why we're here, professors, researchers, okay? And also all the innovations should come from here. But the two key words is where the data has come from, and what about the standards? How we standardize the process? How can we have the common language to drive the process and innovation? At the time, while I was with my previous employer in China, we did lots of study, investigation, how to adopt standard like the UK BIM Level 2 into China. So without any surprise, it comes out standard really plays a key role if you want to drive the digital transformation. And then the second comes with BIM value. What value actually brings to me as a designer, engineers, or manufacturers, or in general, to the company to actually generate profit for my business or government? How can we make our project more cost effective, on time, on budget, okay? And the third one is talent training. We are crying out loud for BIM professionals, not just at the manager level and also more hands-on level, if we want to really accommodate this big change in our sector. So just quick introduction. We bring in ISO 19650. So in my view, which can be an international BIM language for the sector. So on the top right-hand corner, there's the PAS 1192 suites, DAS 2, DAS 3, DAS 4, 5, and 6, and so on. So underneath, that happens just right now in Q1 2019. So on the left-hand side, the PAS 1192 2007, which will become equivalent to ISO BIM 19650-1. And the PAS 1192-2 will be equivalent to 19650-2. So next year, the other two more standards will come out. 1192-3, which is more about operation asset management, more facility management, will become ISO 19650-3. And DAS 5 is talk about information security, which is equivalent between the UK BIM Level 2 standard and also the ISO. So we did a case. I shouldn't mention the name, but I think that would be quite a representative of what the supply chain in China. So we did it for Wanda, okay, Wanda Group. We apply this standard into their system, into the BIM standard. So the whole journey is not just happened like last few days or a few weeks. Yeah, I started to do the engagement with key stakeholders since 2016. So it's actually a 2-year project, 3 actually, yeah, early 2016. From the UK, how we bring the West to meet the East. Okay, ISO is great, perfect. Is it perfect? Does it meet the local condition? Okay, so there may be lots of contextualization. We need to think about it. So we did train the key BIM manager of Wanda Group and also the whole supply chain, about 10 companies. As a whole, we train around 180 people. So throughout the study training, we did find something really interesting is the common language they use when they execute BIM implementation. In the UK standard, they call CDE, Common Data Environment. Language really plays a key role when you do things together, because we all have different priorities, okay, and different views. So what the standard play here is actually the language. At the end, if I talk about BIM, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. If I say CDE, you know exactly all the terms, parameter, functions that I'm referring to. Quite interesting, another finding we find is about the roles and responsibility. So the situation in Wanda and in supply chain is actually one BIM manager is doing multiple roles. He's not just championing the project or managing the project, he's actually doing everything. So that means something goes wrong if you're not clear about what you're doing in the BIM project. So we map the whole system at the end and try to implement the ISO standard protocol into the whole workflow and system. So what I want to point out here is at the end, we did another survey within that 100 people. They actually think the standard drives not just standardization and also digital transformation. That comes out, that's the best value why they need to use BIM in the enterprise. And it echoes with another major policy in China is from Llewellyn in 2017, the number 19 documents. It clearly said the local standard needs to map with the international standard, in particular for those big agenda like Belt and Road Initiative or the Great Bay Area. Okay, next one, I got 5 minutes in front of me, yeah, blockchain, okay. So, think about it again, without BIM, now we go to a community and system. Everybody here, we got our own system. If we talk about at the smart city level, I got my own system, okay. I work in Hong Kong, I live in New Territories. I got friends living somewhere. If you think about your daily activities, everybody got different system, okay, to take care with on a daily basis. So the left-hand side video is the BIM model with pedestrian simulation of Crossrail. 10 years ago. We did it, okay, something like this. Now we did the same thing. We really simulate using computer language and AI to treat the human activity as agents. But again, think about it. Built environment, the most difficult parameter to deal with is time and space. And if we talk about from the BIM going to communities and the smart city level, we are talking about lots of location-based human activities. And the key thing is the trust. The data needs to be valid, high value, accurate. If we can do that, we will not be at the bottom anymore, I'm sure, okay, from that McKinsey report, yeah. Hong Kong, you will do one day, yeah. So how can we generate this trustable and high value data? That's why blockchain comes in. Song An new area, I'm quite lucky, my team, before we got involved, when they set up the strategic framework last year, is a millennium strategy by President Xi Jinping. So there are 3 main goals. One is the short-term goal, is by 2020, it needs to be BIM ready, GIS ready. And then the midterm goal, they want to keep the culture because this project is actually starting from scratch. It's a blank paper, okay, let's do it from scratch, from zero. What the future new smart city we want to look like. I think only China can do that, okay, in the world. By 2050, we want to make sure this is not a city like this in China anymore, not like Beijing, yeah. To give you further information, Song An new area, the area is 100 kilometers southwest of Beijing, and the whole total area is also 100 kilometers square. So it's quite an interesting project. We want to keep the original stuff, but how? But at the end, we want to see lots of automation, innovation happening. So these are our site investigation, okay? If you see that, it's highly automated at the moment. So on the top middle is all the track. They got all the sensors underneath for automated car. And for the middle one, the left-hand side, I don't want to turn around, okay, is the peopleless supermarket, okay. I try it myself, okay. The first time I go in, I can't go in because I don't have the Chinese ID. And then I asked my PhD student, can you let me go in, yeah? Second round, I buy a bottle of water. And then I come in, I realize I didn't pay. And then third time I go in, I pay it. And then when I come out, I realize I paid twice. That's really echoes on what we need, okay? I'm doing my location-based activities, okay? But the trust is missing. So anyway, the infrastructure is there, the automated supermarket is there, they're now collecting data. So what my experience is their data. They try to optimize our activity with all this automation. So in particular, the middle right-hand side one, the right-hand side, that's MIC, modular construction, okay? All the buildings are in modular construction, yeah. So it's kind of, they're doing things like upside down. They now tell you the final product now. The future smart city will be like this. So how can we incorporate your activities within this new piece of land in the future? So this is some of the study we did. I don't want to spend too much time. This one, the scientific thing, is all equation thing. If you look at blockchain, I just want to make it simple. You just treat it as a decentralized CDE system. Okay, BIM is a CDE, Common Data Environment. But if we talk about blockchain, we are talking about a decentralized system or a decentralized CDE. And BIM is to provide a single source of truth. But if you go beyond taking human activity into consideration, and also all the blockchain algorithm, we are generating a single source of trust, okay? All the data is trustable. This is the key thing. It's not the system, the platform itself. And if we have all this ready, at the ultimate goal, we can really talk about circular BIM, the new smart city. So this is the platform we suggest them to apply in a number of sectors, public service, including transport, government, education, healthcare, construction, security, and environmental for Song An. So the top level, we actually patent this in China. So we got the BIM GIS integrated platform. And then with IoT, the bottom left one, the blue graph is actually showing all the carbon dioxide level, humidity, temperature, and all the blockchain human activities, like your activity, going in the supermarket, buying things in, from another shop, and all your activity inside. It's still under testing, and the left-hand side is particularly interesting. Sorry, the right-hand side, all the bubbles. The whole system actually links to the urban development and the rural development level. What it means is, from that house being demolished, that all this data is already stored in this platform. So by 2050, through this system, you can actually track back which village you're actually coming from originally. Because the government really wants to keep all the original data that happens from scratch, from the first point that we start to develop Song'an. So this is another showcase. So that's Song'an City, by the way. Yeah. We kick in the blockchain idea, but however, we put it not just at the credit level, but also the evaluation level. So what it means is, well, that's the architecture. Yeah, it's too technical. Yeah, but we can go through it if you have an interest in the break. So it's actually two blockchain. One is talking about how you evaluate the service. Okay, I'll give you an example. Yeah, I always amazed about the food delivery in China. I order it, it really goes in front of my door, but I don't understand why they're always on time. One day I asked my student, can you tell me why the delivery person, why they're always on time? And then they just told me they actually do it by themselves. They have their motorbike pressing hard, try to catch up the time. So the delivery apps, all these things is all automated, but at the end, these kind of like happy activity that makes you feel good is actually done manually. So this is something that can be sorted out by blockchain. I'm overrun my time. Sorry, I didn't keep my promise. So that's the end. I really want to wrap up. That's my final slide. Albert Einstein is always my favorite, yeah. He did a great thing. He really defined what time and space means. So I think as a practitioner or researchers for built environment, I think this is our key role. So when you look at Song'an, the development, the conception phase is in 2018, and the development is 2025. And by 2033, will be completed, the whole thing. If blockchain, the technology, is getting mature in 2045, the whole thing will actually become much more complete or mature. That's the plan if we talk about future Mark City. Yeah? So can I ask you one last question? By 2045, do you think you will still live in Hong Kong? Hands up. Still no response, yeah? By the time I already retired, okay. So the new Smart City definition to me for my retirement now will be very different from me currently. So I think after my talk, you will have a new thought about our future Smart City. Thank you.